Several cases have been dropped against the LA protesters. It has been revealed because of false claims from federal agents. Tyrone Bowman live. According to The Guardian, if you see a glare in my glasses, it's because of a new lighting system that I'm testing, and I'm working with to find out how it's working. So records show Border Patrol gave inaccurate testimony about people it jailed. Prosecutors now face embarrassing dismissals. So this story is courtesy of The Guardian. Let's talk about it here on Tyrone Bowman Live and get down to the real nitty gritty of it and find out exactly why these cases are now being dropped against several protesters from the riots that occurred back in June. Here we are at the end of July going into August. U.S. immigration officers made false and misleading statements in their reports about several Los Angeles protesters. They were arrested during the massive demonstrations that rocked the city in June. According to federal law enforcement files obtained by The Guardian, the officer's testimony was cited in at least 5 cases filed by the U.S. Department of Justice amid the unrest. The Justice Department has charged at least 26 people with assaulting and impeding federal officers and other crimes during the protest over immigration raids. Prosecutors, however, have since been forced to dismiss at least 8 of those felonies, many of them which relied on officers' inaccurate reports, court records show, meaning they lied. They just put it right out there and tell it the way it really is. So several officers, they lied when they filled out their reports. Instead of telling the truth, they made stuff up. The Justice Department has also dismissed at least 3 felony assault cases brought against Angelenos, accused of interfering with arrests during recent immigration raids, the documents show. The rapid felony dismissals are a major embarrassment for the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney for the Southern District, Bill Eslaya, and appeared to be the result of an unusual series of missteps by the Justice Department, former federal prosecutor said. The Guardian review of records found this. Out of 9 assault and impeding felony cases the Justice Department filed immediately after the start of the protest and promoted by the Attorney General Pam Bondi, prosecutors dismissed 7 of them soon after filing the charges. You didn't hear about this one, Fox, did you? Because they don't want to be exposed for just peddling lies. In reports that led to the detention and prosecution of at least 5 demonstrators, Department of Homeland Security, or DHS, agents made false statements about the sequence of events and misrepresented incidents captured on video. So if you or I did such a thing, it's called perjury, punishable by first-degree felony and conviction, and you get 5 years plus in prison. One DHS agent accused a protester of shoving an officer when footage appeared to show the opposite. The officer forcefully pushed the protester. One incident named the wrong defendant, a stunning error that has jeopardized one of the government's most high-profile cases. See, these ICE agents have been given total immunity from prosecution. When I see felonies dismissed, that tells me either the federal officers have filed affidavits that are not truthful and that has been uncovered, or U.S. attorneys reviewing the cases realize the evidence does not support the charges, said Christine Soto DeBerry, a former California state prosecutor who is now director of Prosecutors Alliance Action, a criminal justice reform group. She said officers often call for charges that prosecutors don't end up filing, but it was uncommon for the Justice Department to file, then dismiss cases, especially numerous felonies, in rapid succession. It seems this is a way to detain people, hold them in custody, instill fear, and discourage people from exercising their First Amendment rights, DeBerry said. There are at least 18 cases that have been brought by the Justice Department against LA protesters that prosecutors have not dismissed, covering a wide array of alleged criminal conduct, according to case records the U.S. Attorney's Office shared with The Guardian. In 3 of those cases, protesters have agreed to plea deals. That's all they want. They want them to plead guilty, including one defendant accused of spitting at an officer and another who allegedly threw rocks. Some still facing charges are accused of throwing bottles and Molotov cocktails, pointing a laser at a helicopter, and aiding in civil disorder by distributing gas masks. In 6 of the felony dismissals revealed by The Guardian, the Justice Department has refiled lower level misdemeanors against the defendants for the many protesters whose charges were withdrawn or scaled back. The officers' initial allegations, as well as the department's filings, have deeply affected their lives. All the demonstrators who won dismissals spent time in jail before the government's case against them fell apart. We're not the violent ones, said Jose Mojica, one of the protesters whose assault case was dismissed. In an earlier Guardian interview, they are chasing down innocent people. The Justice Department's initial wave of cases stemmed from one of the first major protests in the LA region, a demonstration on June 7 in the South Los Angeles city of Paramount. Border Patrol sightings had sparked fears that agents were targeting laborers at a Home Depot. And as dozens of locals and demonstrators gathered outside an office complex that houses DHS, officers fired tear gas and flashbang grenades while some protesters threw objects. The U.S. Attorney's Office held a joint case against 5 demonstrators, charging each with assaulting officers, a felony the Justice Department warned could carry 20-year sentences. So what do the officers get for lying and fabricating evidence? A criminal complaint written by DHS and filed in court by the Justice Department on 8th of June said that as the crowd grew, some protesters turned violent. 2 sisters, Ashley, age 20, and Jocelyn Rodriguez, 26, began blocking officers' vehicles. The complaint alleged when a Border Patrol agent attempted to move Ashley, she resisted and shoved the agent with both hands. Then Jocelyn grabbed the arm of one of the agents to prevent her sister's arrest. The charges said both were arrested. In an investigative file, the DHS suggested that in response to the sister's arrest, Christian Cerna Camacho, another protester, began to verbally harass agents, making threatening remarks. Demonstrators Brian Ramos Brito then pushed an agent in the chest. The DHS claimed at which point, a 5th protester, Jose Mojica, used his body to physically shield Ramos Brito and then elbowed and pushed agents. Agents then subdued and arrested Mojica Ramos Brito, the complaint said. All 5 defendants are Latino U.S. citizens. The DHS own subsequent reports, however, reveal multiple factual discrepancies in the narrative initially presented by officers and prosecutors. While the complaint suggests Cerna Camacho, Ramos, Brito, and Mojica attacked agents in protest of the sisters' arrest, records show the women were arrested in a separate incident, which occurred after the men were detained. Border Patrol agent Eduardo Mijarado, a key witness considered a victim of the assaults, appeared to initially give inaccurate testimony about the order of events. He clarified the timeline when questioned. A DHS special agent wrote in a special report 3 days after charges were filed. A supervisor on the scene also documented the correct chronology in a later report and apologized for errors, saying due to the chaos of the events that day, some events may have been miscommunicated. Oh, really? So that's how they justify it. The DHS special agent also noted that defense lawyers had presented video, they said, was in direct contrast to the facts laid out in the initial complaint. The footage seen by The Guardian appeared to show an agent pushing Ramos Brito, not the other way around, before he was taken to the ground along with Mojica, who was also not seen in the footage shoving or assaulting agents. The agent acknowledged the officer's shoving and said the subsequent fight was hard to decipher. The agent also claimed Ramos Brito's behavior before he was pushed included pre-assault indicators such as clenching fists and getting in the agent's face. I think you kind of know where this article is going. It goes on and on and on. The bottom line is, to make a long story short, officers lied, they committed perjury, they falsified records, and as a result, several cases were dismissed. All right, let's go to the comments section. Seems all these comments are for one person here. All right, y'all. Never surrender. Never quit.